Welcome. You're tuned to the Urban Affairs program. It's time to get up for Urban Perspectives with your host, Pete Rhodes.
Welcome. You're watching Urban Perspectives. I'm your host, Pete Rhodes. This edition is sponsored in part by UCare, BMA Networks, and the Children's Theater Company. On this episode, we'll discuss the Twin Cities creative arts scene. Here's a fact. A recent report finds that the creative sector of the Twin Cities injects approximately $700 million into the economy in a single year. $430 million of that is in retail sales, tickets to shows, purchases of art, and other things. On this show, we'll meet three amazing people who contribute to the vibrancy of the Twin Cities creative arts scene. It's all here on Urban Perspectives. My first guest is from a family of musicians who began recording at the age of 13. She's a talented national recording artist, producer, and founder of Pip Jazz Youth Artists in Residence and Pip Jazz Women in Jazz Workshop. It utilizes the Twin Cities arts resources for her mission to educate and give opportunities to young musicians and females, help them achieve their goals and contribute to the Twin Cities and the national arts scene. Here's a brief sights and sound look at Pippi Ardenia. Fantastic. You know, we've heard you sing on a number of occasions, and it's just fantastic. And we really appreciate you being here, making some time in your schedule. We've been reaching out, and you made it happen this time.
I was so happy that I was available.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. Now, who inspired your musical pursuits and the development of the Pippi Jazz program?
Well, basically, it was Betty Carter in my later years.
Yeah.
You know, because I felt that she was really about exposing the young people to the art form of jazz.
Yeah.
But outside of that, my family, my mother, my father, my uncles, my grandfathers, you know, they were all into gospel music. And so I wasn't up to that, but I handled my business and I did my music.
Well, you know, as you continue to perform, and we see the changes in music and jazz as well, what do you think the biggest obstacle is, Pippi, for young people today in music?
I think finding their voice. There's so much out there that they either learn about or they try to duplicate.
Right.
And one of the things that's real important for me in Pip Jazz is to really put these young artists in a situation where they're on a live stage so they can find their voice.
Yeah.
And that's a huge obstacle. There's not those many jazz clubs anymore. There's not those many venues where they can just actually get on stage with long-term musicians, you know, and really find out who they really are.
Yeah, you're right about that. Well, as founder of the Pip Jazz, what is the plan moving forward to kind of grow the organization? How long have you been around now?
We've been around now for 4 years.
4 years now. And so what are your plans for growing that? Because you've done some fantastic things already, and I know you got more in store.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is to kind of get our organization at a place where it's self-sustaining, and we haven't gotten there. But, you know, what we focus on is putting on shows, putting these amazing young artists with great musicians, and actually putting them on stage by themselves. And one of the things that we've been doing lately is that we put them on stage by themselves, no rehearsal, and I go on stage with them and we just hit it.
Wow.
And that's true jazz.
Yeah.
You know, the gift of improv.
Exactly.
I tell them that this is a musical conversation. If you have something to say, play. If you don't, be quiet.
Yeah.
You know?
Making them swim.
That's how you do it, is trial by fire.
Now, you have a couple events that we are familiar with that have made the project really popular, and that is the Artists in Residence, I believe?
Yes, our Artists in Residence, what they usually do is they play with us, and I take them on different performances, private parties, and have them to actually perform. So they stay with us. So after introducing one of them to a show, then they can elevate and be an artist in residence. And then also we have the Women in Jazz workshop and a program where we bring in all of these great musicians that are women in the Twin Cities. And then we do a workshop, and then we have a concert, and we have the students to be with us. And it is
marvelous,
so awesome, because we're really trying to get these young girls to really continue to pursue their mission or their vision of music.
That's great. That's great. Now, you spoke earlier how important it is to be self-sustaining. How can corporations and regular citizens support the Pip Jazz Project?
Well, they can definitely go to pipjazz.org and make a donation, but more than anything, having corporate support and sponsorship is the most important thing to sponsor our concerts. You know, we would like to be able to bring in name acts so the children will be exposed to, you know, another level of musicianship and performance. But we can't do it because we don't have the money. We are solely a performance program. It's all about performing. It's all about getting these children to really be on a live stage with musicians, to really find their voice and to actually do something different. Not what they were told, but what they feel.
Exactly. Well, I think you're doing a fantastic job with it. We're going to continue to push it on this end over here and let us know how we can help. And we want to see you performing real soon, so we'll be watching for you as well.
Thank you so much,
Pippi,
Pete.
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, Pippi Ardenia. Weekly here on Urban Perspectives, I get the opportunity to present Shining Stars, highlighting people, places, and events that contribute to the vibrancy of the urban community. Now this week, Shining Star is an actor who hails from a family of music royalty in the Twin Cities. Her acting credits include The Courage of Nine, B is for Bully, and she has performed on the Disney Network and Star Search. She is currently playing Georgia in the Children's Theater world premiere stage version of Akeelah and the Bee. Meet our Shining Star hometown talent, Zarya Graham.
My name is Zaria Nicole Graham, and I play Georgia, Akeelah's best friend. I'm from Minnesota. Practically my entire family sing, dance, act. My dad's a musician. My grandparents, they are all within the music and acting, and I started acting at 8, and I was singing at 6. My grandparents really helped me shine in that area. I feel honored to be in this production just because my age, I'm 17. I don't think many people my age get to do stuff like this. And with it being, I'm still in school, I'm a student at St. Paul Conservatory School for Performing Artists. So I'm really honored, blessed to be in this production. Georgia is very bodacious. She's bold and audacious, very fashionable, chic, funny but smart. What I want the world to take from Georgia and the world premiere of Akeelah and the Bee at the Children's Theater is uniqueness, like to be yourself at all times, no matter what. To be fun, to enjoy life every moment. I would love for you to come and see myself, as well as many wonderful professionals of the Twin Cities and the Children's Theater world premiere of Akeelah and the Bee. My name is Zaria Nicole Graham. I play Georgia, Akeelah's best friend, and the Children's Theater world premiere of Akeelah and the Bee, and you're watching Urban Perspectives.
Thank you so much, Zaria. When we return, I'll talk with a conductor, composer, performing musician, and a music educator whose music focus has been to reach and teach the next generation of music professionals. Meet W. Rayford Johnson next on Urban Perspectives.
There's a place you can go, no matter the age or the skin that shows. We're here for you, only you. Seniors and kids come along and join in.
Finally, a place
place where our children and seniors can interact and learn from one another, Olu Center is opening a new child care and senior day program.
For more information or to register, call 612-824-1142.
That's Olu's Center, where different generations come together. Hey!
Well, my freedom has a state of mind all its own, and I will be well, for it's a place I can't call home.
You Care Choices.
Decide on me.
New health plans for the new health insurance marketplace. Learn more at youcarechoices.org. You Care. Choose well.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire, but you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back to Urban Perspectives. My next guest is a retired conductor of bands with 40 years of experience as a music educator. He is a multiple Minnesota Black Music Awards recipient and a commissioner on the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Minnesota statewide holiday. He's been appointed by every governor since 1986 to that commission. He's currently the chairman and music director for Freedom Jazz Festivals. Please welcome to Urban Perspective, I call him Mr. Music, W. Rayford Johnson. How you doing, Rayford?
Doing well, thank
you. Don't mind me calling you, everybody else calls you Doc, and, doctor, so, but I appreciate you being here. We go back a long ways. In fact, you were backstage voice for quite a few of the Black Music Awards, and we appreciate you very much for that.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah. So let me start out by saying, music is often the first thing to go in schools curriculum. As a recognized music educator, how important is music to all aspects of learning for young people?
It's a very broad question. I will frame it in this manner. Historically, 5 BC, the Greeks established the doctrine of the ethos, in which they talked about music effect on the character and emotion of men.
5 BC.
5 BC, through morals and ethics.
Mm-hmm.
And they established music for the masses. The Western system that we now know exists from that.
I see.
1944, Ether Gaston developed a music behavior concept of music therapy, by which psychologists, anthropologists, sociologists came together and they theorized on manners of how music could affect behavior, human behavior.
Okay.
Now, in the 90s, a little country called Singapore, who never allowed music and art to be, it was very limited in their country, brought music into the curriculum when they did compulsory education under the new regime. And now Singapore is considered as the #1 education country in the world, a country of 4 million people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all because of how they utilize music as a part of the curriculum, as a liberal arts. And if we can remember in our country to utilize that aspect of the curriculum
we can do
more profusely. The system in Singapore was developed from what we used to do in this country from the 50s and 60s.
Wow. Who inspired you, Rayford, in terms of your musical career and wanting to teach young people as well?
That goes back to a gentleman by the name of Henry A. Duncombe, a band director, who played multiple instruments, who taught us to play multiple instruments, how to write, how to analyze score, exposed us to the various and the most prolific musicians and performances that were available during that time period. So he, I have to say, had the greater influence.
Now, you're the current director, chairman and director of the Freedom Jazz Festival. What are the goals moving forward to elevate this important program, you think, to the Twin Cities?
Well, we have managed to continue our efforts with the festival. We want to move to another level of community enrichment and involvement programming. You know, too many of our musicians do not have the opportunity to perform in the commercial venue. We want to provide an avenue for them to be able to perform in those venues. And we want to have collaboration with some of the venues to get that done. And we want to also start providing some workshops so that we can mentor young people. That's the whole purpose, is to foster the development of young people in jazz.
Well, speaking of which, how important is the government, the cities' involvement? You know, you go to New Orleans, Seattle, and all those places, Nashville, they are really involved in the music scene. How important is the city fathers and patrons to the growth of music here in our cities and with the program?
What comes to mind is the potency of music is greatest in the group experience.
Ah, I see. That answers it right there.
Okay.
It really does.
And so if we can continue to provide that opportunity through school curriculum and not have those programs be the first cut when there are budget problems, then we can continue to succeed in that manner.
Great, great. Well, what's next for W. Rayford Johnson a few little time?
Well, I'm continuing to perform. I'm principal tuba with the St. Anthony Orchestra. I'm with the City of Plymouth Concert Band, and then my group, the Tangents, constantly playing.
Great.
So I continue to do that. And then I have several other projects of some compositions that friends have asked me to prepare for their groups, and so I've been busy doing that.
Stay busy. Every time we see you, you always look excited, youthful, and as always, thank you so much for what you do in our community. We really appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure.
All right, W. Rayford Johnson. When we return, we'll meet a man who has made his lifelong mission the promotion of choral music. Philip Brunell, artistic director and founder of Vocal Essence, is next on Urban Perspectives.
There's a place you can go, no matter the age or the skin that shows. We're here for you, only you. Seniors and kids, come along and join in.
Finally, a place where our children and seniors can interact and learn from one another. Olu Center is opening a new child care and senior day program.
For more information or to register, call 612-824-1142.
That's Olu's Center, where different generations come together. Hey!
At school, they talked about the digital divide, the gap between people who can access the internet and those who can't, the haves and the have-nots. Well, today, my family becomes one of the haves.
Internet Essentials from Comcast offers low-cost computers and internet to lower-income families. It's part of our commitment to making sure that no one gets left behind in the communities we serve.
Now that we're online, anything is possible.
Comcast, connecting our communities.
Thank you for joining us here on Urban Perspectives as we spotlight the Twin Cities creative arts scene. Our next guest is an internationally renowned choral music scholar, conductor, and visionary who has been recognized for his commitment to choral music. He is the artistic director and founder of Vocal Essence, and under his leadership, the organization has commissioned over 240 works to date. In 1991, Vocal Essence created the Witness series to celebrate the artistic contributions of African Americans to the fine arts and to our common cultural heritage. Please welcome to Urban Perspectives, Philip Brunell. Philip, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
We just saw you recently at the celebration of a 100-year-old program for the Minneapolis Foundation.
Yes.
And it just was amazing what you did in conducting that orchestra, that symphony for the night. It was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it was great. It was a wonderful thing. I mean, our city is so great, and the fact that we can celebrate 100 years of the arts is amazing and fantastic.
Yes, it is. Now, as only the third, I found this interesting, only the third organist since the 1900s for the Plymouth Church, I got to ask you, who inspired your music journey?
Well, I'm the third since 1900. I've been the longest now. Oh. But I was inspired by two people, my high school choir director, Harry Opel, a great guy, and then the organist who preceded me, who was my organ teacher, Arthur Jennings. They were the two that really gave me the inspiration to move forward and to do what I'm now doing.
Yeah, fantastic job you are now doing. Now, you've been recognized internationally for your choral music work. Why is this form of music, you think, Philip, so important to maintain, promote, and recognize?
Choral music brings more people together in the world than any other kind of art form.
Wow.
You get people singing in choirs, whether it's classical, barbershop, jazz, whatever it is. You get so many people that are doing it. So it builds a great spirit of camaraderie when everyone is working together. And then with that, you begin, because you're working close to other people, you get to know people. And, you know, it's kind of like the state fair.
Exactly.
You know, you are all there. It's
together.
I just think it's the best way of getting people inspired and getting people working. Plus, it's good for your health to sing.
Wow.
Yes.
Tell me something new. You can find it out every day. Now, in 1991, Vocal Essence launched the Witness program, Witness series, shall I say. How did this come about and why?
Well, it came about because of a concern that we needed to focus on the accomplishments in the choral field of African American composers. And it began that very first year I went out and talked to Retha King out at General Mills, and I said, you know, we have this idea at Vocal Essence we want to pursue, and she said, you know, if you don't do it, I'm not sure who's going to do it, and you should start. And it has just exploded since then from what was just a small program, now 26 years later, to this probably the largest program of its kind in the United States.
Fantastic job with it, and so much depth in the projects that we do. Speaking of which, to date, what are the audience's top picks in the Witness series?
Wow. Well, I would say among all of them, certainly in the late 90s when I brought James Earl Jones here, and people just to hear that voice, but also hear him do some very wonderful readings that were sort of out of the ordinary of what they usually know. And then in the early 2000s, I brought Rita Dove here. And Rita Dove was the first African-American poet laureate for the USA.
Yes.
Great woman. And I wanted people to understand that when you have choral music, you also have to have words. And so poetry came together with her. And then last year, we had Sounds of Blackness, which raised the roof, as you can imagine. Oh, yes.
Fantastic job. You know, I asked earlier how important it is for cities to get involved with the music scene and corporations and organizations, as well as regular individuals. How important do you think that is, and how do we promote that?
Well, there's no question that if the arts are flourishing it helps certainly economically. There's no question that it does that. It helps that way, but it also, as I was saying earlier, helps bring people together, and you will find a spirit of working together, of cooperation that the arts can promote that just doesn't have. It's not competitive. We are working together. It's not like, say, oh, this team against that team, not at all. And so having the arts in a town also just, well, it builds also just the health of a city in a great way, and attracts people to want to be part of that. And we're finding that because next year we're bringing the Morehouse College Glee Club.
That's
so,
be
you know, oh yeah, it's great.
Philip Brunell, thank you so very much for all that you do in this town. And
Thanks,
keep
Pete.
up the work, okay?
I will.
Philip Brunell.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching Urban Perspectives. I'd like to thank our sponsors, UCare, BMA Networks, the Children's Theater Company, my guests, our shining star, and you, the audience, for getting up and your support in making Urban Perspectives an Emmy-nominated program. Visit our website at urbanperspectives.tv for information on our guests and for links to previous broadcasts, and help us grow and post your comments on our Facebook page. Remember, there are so many amazing people and positive stories in our cities. Watch for them right here on Urban Perspectives. Now enjoy the photos of the week featuring the annual Freedom Jazz Festival. I'm Pete Rhodes, and I'll see you next week.